All right, and welcome back to Blow Up the Team. This is Matt once again, joined by Jeremy for some more MLB preseason grades. This time, we look at the Cincinnati Reds, and honestly, when I said I knew the Cincinnati Reds had made a bunch of moves over the course of last season and this season, I thought they'd be really interesting. But then when I was sitting here doing my research for it today and yesterday, they really kind of blew my mind with just how much better this team is than last season, and how much I think of a threat I think this team can be. And I think I was short-sighted when I called the Cardinals the best rotation. There's a lot to talk about with this team, which I'm going to try and condense because I've tried not to go too long on this one. But really, I think this team. I honestly, I said the Cubs were my favorite to win the NL Central. I think it's really going to be a foot race between the Cubs and the Reds because this team has got talent top to bottom, and they made so many moves so quietly that just flew entirely under the radar for me. So if we can just look at the lineup now, one of the first moves they made was looking at the uh, Nippon League. They signed Shogo Akiyama, who was a big bat in that league, really great hitter, really great uh, bats, really good vision. A little bit older than some of the guys coming over. Which kind of he reminds me of Hideki Matsui for that reason. Um, because when he was in the Nippon League, he was not necessarily a huge home run hitter, but he was really known for his batting eye and just having good batting skills, like good on base stuff. And so he's looking to take over the uh, we go back. He's looking to take over the first leadoff batter position for them, which could help because Joey Votto didn't have that great of a season last year. And if you could have, but if Joey Votto is like such a good, you have two guys who are really, really patient hitters at the plate. So it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts to the majors, because that's the one thing that I say every time I talk about a guy who's coming over from a foreign league every time, is that you have to wait to see how they adjust, and which is why I'm not going to make any sweeping judgments. But this is one of the guys who's been really hyped up for his abilities, and normally predictions aren't too kind to people coming over from foreign leagues, but Verona Champ's giving him a 283, which is significantly higher than what a lot of people are willing to give people coming over. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how he performs uh, in there. Next up, if you can go back to the whole list, I got Joey Votto. There's not much that can be said about Joey Votto that we don't already know. Joey Votto, who's also one of my players to look out for, has been such an amazingly consistent player and such a great player this whole time. That's like in this league. He walks more than he strikes out. He has insane on base skills. He hits over 300 has hit over 300 for many seasons with power to back it up. And it was like 4 games he didn't go without, like the first 4 games of the season he didn't walk. And Cut 4 is tweeting like this might be the apocalypse because Joey Votto hasn't walked yet. It was like a week before he walked, and it was like the longest time Joey Votto had gone without drawing a walk. If you could just like pull up his stat sheet real fast. So if you look up until 2019, like it had been a very consistent story. Either more walks and strikeouts, or somewhere close to the same amount of strikeouts as walks. And his OPS has always been really high. His slugging has always been really high. His on base percentage has been amazing. Generally, the way you want to look at a guy is make sure his OPS is over 300. Usually one in like the 350 range, because in this game of 3-2 outcomes, the walking has become more important than the average. And so when a guy's an on base percentage in the 300s, it's good. Consistently in the 400s for the majority of his career. Like this guy is like Superman when it comes to hitting. And so last year was a real big tumble for him. You can go back to the picture if you want. And so he's gonna be a guy you have to keep your eye on, because he's getting old. He's 36 now. He's been such a great player, and for so long, you really want to see him get back onto it, especially now that the Reds are starting to get competitive again. Because he's been a leader for this team and such a figure in the MLB for so long. You don't want him to now that he's getting his chance to be on a playoff team again, you don't want him to be just there for the ride. You know, you want him to be a driving force on that, and so it'll be really interesting to see if he can. And there's no, and that's the other thing. The Reds don't really have anyone to threaten his position at first base, and so you really want to see him like not necessarily do what he's been doing for so long, but just something similar to even his 2018 numbers where he hit in the 280s. Like just get that average back, get that vision back. You know, there was some. Don't get me wrong. Joey Votto had some ridiculously bad calls made on him this year, but you want to see him do well because this man is definitely future Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. I think he's a Hall of Famer, but definitely Reds, Hall of Famer. Great guy, great athlete, great player. Want to see him do better. Anyway, go back to the lineup. Here we get into more really good players. Eugenio Suarez. He has always been, in the few years he's been up, a very consistent, good player, good power hitter. Last season, he found his power swing like just put everything together. He already hit 35 home runs ish for the past 2 seasons. Last season, he had 49 home runs and with a 271 batting average. And man, just tore up the league. Like it was really great to watch him hit. Not so much if you're a Cubs fan, but it was great to watch him hit if you're a Reds fan. And this is like your big bat in the lineup, and it's really exciting to watch him play. And so he's going to be another guy to look out for because hitting 49 home runs is a lot to expect out of someone for any season. But if he can continue to put out that power, he will be a really big, important part for this Reds team this year, as it was last year, and will be a big part of if they make it to the playoffs. Next, you have the next two guys on this list are two of their offseason acquisitions. Mike Moustakas hitting in the 4-hole projected. Not a big average guy, but very much a power threat. Consistently 30 home run type guy. Big slugging, big OPS. Doesn't, a lot of strikeouts, but, another nice cleanup bat, nice power bat to put in there and to fill a hole at second base, which they needed. And so it's another threatening bat. Not much to say about him because he's everyone knows Mike Moustakas. He's very much solid baseball player. Not much can be said about him besides that. Not that like it's not you know what I mean. And then the big, I'd say easily the best outfielder on the market. Nick Castellanos signed for 3 years. I think it was 3 years with the Reds, and like he I've been on the Tigers, was kind of doing whatever with the Tigers last season. Got traded to the Cubs, got a chance to actually run for a playoff, and he mashed. He hit like 290, I think it was. He hit lots of home runs. Big clutch hitter for a team that didn't have a lot of clutch hitting. And I'm really sad that he, the Cubs wouldn't re-sign him. Thank you, cheap ownership. But you know what, the Reds got to steal. You got a chance to get a guy like that who's going to be hitting in a hitter-friendly ballpark, who is his fielding is not really good, but his hitting is more than enough to make up for it. And the production you'll get out of a guy who's projected to hit in the 5-hole, who probably will, depending on who's hotter, will hit in the 4-hole or in other places, depending on what happens in the season, will be a very, very good lineup. And so normally I talk about the top 4, but the top 5 of this lineup is super, super deadly. And so it'll be really interesting to see how all of them come out. You got Jesse Winker, sorry, who's you also have on the bench. I'm sorry, I can't think of his name. Nick Senzel, who are going to be competing for that same outfield spot. Who are both, solid big leaders. Not like, and Aristides Aquino, who's not even projected to be in the starting lineup, which I think is insane.
I don't even see him on the bench.
Aristides Aquino, 4th on the bench.
Oh, it sounded like you were
Another.
saying Eric.
No.
I was like, what?
No, big power bat. He struggled with hitting for average, to say the least, and had a really not so great batting eye. But if he can show what he did last season and just hit 9 home runs in a 10-game stretch again, like he's going to be a pretty big threat. So you got like an interesting outfield a mix of these guys who can all be fighting for play time. Freddie Galvis came over very late in the season. The Blue Jays let him go so he could go to a team that would need him. He was good on the Blue Jays, big clubhouse presence. He wasn't like outstanding, but he was a good player. And it wasn't like, he was doing horrible, which is why I let him go. Like, they let him go because they had Bo Bichette come up. Like, they just didn't have room for him. So, then the Reds picked up his option, which was very smart. And so now they have a solid shortstop to fill a hole there and just be a good stick in the lineup. Batting eighth, you got Tucker Barnhart, the catcher. Not much to write home. About the big league average, doesn't hit very much like most catchers. The catcher position is such a physically demanding position. Hitting is, when you find a hitting one like Gary Sanchez, like that's a rare thing. So, or Christian Vasquez, like, but he's a 240s hitter. I think it's fair to say he's gonna hit 247 next season. Once again, not much to say, but overall lineup is looking really, really solid. Projected 2020 starters. Luis Castillo, number one man. He had a really big breakout season last season. His big weapon for him is his changeup, which has always been like his bread and butter pitch, but this season it was near unhittable. I think at one point there was like he had like 60 something strikeouts, and the next with his changeup, and the next closest was like in the 30s. Like that pitch became such a weapon for him. He also had like big velocity uppage, I think, this season. And so he's going to be one to watch out for because he's going to be your team's ace, followed up by two other potentially ace level pitchers.
All right. Hold on. Interjection.
No,
Hold on.
no,
We're
no.
not gonna call Sonny Gray a near
Go
ace
click on
level
Sonny
pitcher.
Gray. Go click on Sonny Gray.
I'm not. We're not. I will
Click on Sonny
never
Gray.
concede that point, ever.
Yes, I know. I was a Salty Yankees fan too. I hated him when he was on the Yankees. But you know what? 287 ERA, like 200 strikeouts, like
Complete fluke.
guy can pitch.
Complete fluke.
Could be a fluke. Come on, he had done some pretty good work beforehand. He had a couple bad years.
Yeah, 4.9 ERA, 5.7 ERA.
Yes.
Okay, buddy.
You're not even gonna.
Nope. He doesn't
Last
get a
season,
chance.
he pitched in one of the biggest hitters ballparks in the MLB and did better than he ever had in any other season. And so,
Listen.
I'm not saying it's going to be guaranteed for him to repeat, but you got a very solid pitcher at number 2. I said ace because I knew it would piss you off.
I am going to permanently refuse to admit that this man has talent.
That's just mean.
Listen, the amount of times I watched this guy step up and just literally throw batting practice fastballs to these hitters, it was absolutely astronomical. He could not pitch in Yankee Stadium.
He had some really really good a really interesting interview with a couple different people, and basically it's the combination of the fact the Yankees didn't have advanced metrics, and so Larry Rothschild's solution is throw your changeup more, or I don't know, you didn't really have any fucking advice for him. He goes to the Reds, and the Reds are like, oh yeah, here's what's going on with your fastball. If you focus on throwing it here, you have get this kind of break on it, and if you do it like this, you have really good stuff. And he's like, oh okay, so I'll throw it like that. And sure enough, with better advice and advanced metrics, the guy turned his like projections for his career around.
Okay, so I'm just gonna come out and I'm gonna say this: he failed my eye test.
Yeah, he failed your eye test. No shit. He failed everyone's eye test in New York. Eye test doesn't mean shit. If you watched him pitch this year, he passes your eye test.
I didn't watch him pitch this year. You wanna know why?
Exactly.
Listen, my name on Steam was Sonny Gray is trash for at least a year and a half. You don't just undo that because on paper you had a decent season last year.
On paper, on eye, he had a good season last year.
I didn't
I'm
see it,
sorry.
so not my eye.
Wow, I'm not. I didn't see it. I'm not gonna. I refuse to change. You're stuck in your ways.
Yes, I am. Very
Yes,
stuck in
and
my
that's not.
ways.
Yeah, you make it sound like it's a good thing.
Listen, man, I don't
God,
have
Reds
to.
fans, please drag this guy in the comments. Jesus Christ.
I
Moving
do
on.
not
We
have
do not
to.
have time for this.
I
You're
don't
wrong.
have to
We're
concede
moving
to
on.
your viewpoint. I'm allowed to not like Sonny
Yeah, but did
Gray.
you say something like he didn't pass the eye
He
test?
didn't pass my personal eye test for me. Everybody's allowed to have different opinions. You and I have different opinions on this one. I just
Ugh.
will refuse to allow you to say ace
Because we have
level
this argument
pitcher.
now, he's either gonna have like another position like he did last year, in which case I'll be very happy, or he's gonna do what he didn't, or he's gonna completely bomb this year, and I'm gonna look like a complete moron. But we'll wait and see.
One of us is gonna look like a complete idiot. It's just a matter of it's me
Or
or you.
he puts up average numbers, and that's still better for me because you refuse to believe he can pitch, despite literal evidence before he came to the Yankees contrary.
Listen.
Next
Listen.
up we got no, we're moving on.
All right, buddy.
Next up we got Trevor Bauer. We have to end this video at some point. This is a guy who's been, everyone in the league who's on Twitter, every baseball Twitter fan, follows him, either hates him or loves him because he is not afraid to tell you you're wrong or get into a fight on Twitter. He has been like, if you go click on his stats, real fast, he's never actually had a complete good season except for 2018. 2018, he pitched like no one's business. And he's been a real pioneer of the advanced metrics and had basically built a pitching laboratory in his home. Like he has the know-how. And in 2019, he started off amazing again and then fell apart in the second half. Leading into the second half and through the second half, he just entirely fell apart after his trade too. So I don't want to say 2018 was a fluke because I like Trevor Bauer. I like a guy who speaks his mind. I want him to pitch better. And, his strikeouts, he struck out 253 batters in 213 innings last season. And so I don't think there's any reason why he can't put 2018 numbers again, or at least just better numbers than what he had in 2019. So, one thing, your top three guys are looking really, really solid. And so that's my opinion on Trevor Bauer, really. He's got really good stuff. It's just a question of can he put together for a full season again like he did in 2018? And I think the answer is yes, he can. I don't think he doesn't even need to do that. If he can be in the threes, he'll be really just not like a pitcher you need. To round it out, you got Anthony DeSclafani, and then you also picked up Wade Miley. Wade Miley pitched like just total career turnaround in 2018. Became the Milwaukee Brewers ace on their staff, and 2019 he looked really good for the first half and through most of through the beginning of the second half, and then kind of fell apart in August and September. But these guys, like, if they could, this is where the rotation doesn't look as good because, which is actually where I think the Reds have a little bit of weakness compared to teams like the Cardinals, is like you're not gonna you don't know what you're getting until the season starts with these guys. And so if Wade Miley shows what he did for the first half of 2019 and through 2018, great. If Anthony DeSclafani didn't have that bad of a season last year, and so we can just be that, if he can just show similar numbers to what he did last season, it'll be a really solid rotation. Next, we'll go to the bullpen, which is where the team gets a little bit, less clear. Three names I want to focus on. Well, actually, four names, really. Pedro Strop. We picked up Pedro Strop after the Cubs. I don't know if he left or if he got traded. I don't know exactly what the story, how he got on your team was, but Pedro Strop, Amir Garrett, Michael Lorenzen, and Raisel Iglesias. Everyone except Iglesias, they've shown actually Lorenzen might be looked at as a two-way player this year, which is kind of fun. Or actually, was it Disclafani? I'm not sure. I'm not gonna set. It might be Disclafani. Okay, we're never mind. We're going with that statement. Those guys are really the three you're gonna have to rely on. Amir Garrett had a really solid season last year. It's a little bit of a hothead when taking on, charging the entire Pittsburgh Pirates team and wiping the floor with Chris Archer for some reason when the fight wasn't even around about him. Um, Pedro Strop has been one of the better one of the better relievers for a lot of years, and then for a few years now. But last year kind of was a rough and tumble season. And then Michael Lorenzen has also been just a pretty good reliever over the last few years, is looking to make a pretty good reliever. So those three guys are going to be the three guys you see come out of the bullpen most this season. And so you're going to need to see, obviously Garrett and Strop are going to be question marks, but you need those guys to be good because honestly, you don't have that many guys in this bullpen that just scream, "Oh yeah, I can't wait to watch these guys pitch." Oh, Robert Stephenson or Cody Reed, these aren't guys you're gonna get really excited to see come in. You do have Nate Jones in the minors, and if he can come back strong and show any of his all-star form, that could be really interesting. But there's no guarantees on a guy you sign a minor league contract to, obviously. So have to wait and see with him. The last guy I really want to focus on is Raisel Iglesias. He has been rock solid out of the bullpen for basically his entire career, with the exception of last year. Last year he had an ERA over 4 and 12 losses as your closer. That's an unacceptable statistic. Even as your setup man, this is a guy who's been, you rely on. If you can't get based on previous statistics, I think it's easy to say last year was a fluke, but you really need him to perform better this season in order for your bullpen to really be enough to to bring you to the playoffs and perform in the playoffs. Because if he doesn't perform and the rest of your bullpen performs average, there's a problem. There's a big gaping hole in your team. And so, and then this obviously isn't a midseason what are the moves type deal. But Reds, if you don't get a good performance out of him or your other three guys I mentioned, or anyone in that bullpen, obviously any bullpen name can come out and become a stud over the course of a season, and be that cornerstone you rely on. But if you don't get that, definitely expect the Reds to be in the reliever market throughout this season. So yeah, that's really my whole stick with the Reds. Want to move on to the grading. So lineup easy A, so it's such an easy A. There's no question. It's those top five are so even if you take even if you don't include Shogo Akiyama because you don't know what he's gonna do because he's a foreign import, the rest of them are just so good and have been so good for so long. There's no reason, and you have a lot of talent on the bench too. That lineup is going to be very, very good, and is easily the biggest strength of the team. Bullpen, I'm giving a C plus. Because what would make them doing this thing again.
Yeah, every time.
Great. The big question is obviously Raisel Iglesias, and let's say you do get the average, the all-star caliber Raisel Iglesias that's throwing to a 2 ERA. What's the rest of the bullpen look like? And it's nothing. There's no one like a Dylan Betanzas or 80% of the Yankees bullpen to back him up to get to him. So that's why it's a C plus. And if Raisel Iglesias' performance a C because you have a bunch of average pitchers in that bullpen. But I'm going to stick with the C plus because I really think Raisel Iglesias' 2019 was a fluke. I think there's no reason why he doesn't come back stronger this year. And finally, our rotation. I kind of want to give it an A, but I'm somewhere between B plus and A because B plus because Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray, Trevor Bauer, what they've shown in the past, and there's no reason why those three can't be the linchpin for your rotation that you feel really good about. The question again for most rotations is the bottom two, and yeah, I think an A- is fair because Wade Miley has shown, he's a better pitcher than what he was last year. He's shown a lot. Anthony Sclafani has shown a fair bit as well. And so I really think that rotation is very good. And the Reds put a lot into it. Getting Sonny Gray to sign an extension in order to be traded there, getting Trevor Bauer at a massive trade, signing Wade Miley because you know what he can do. I think that rotation can be very good. You know what? But then I'm thinking about my rotations, and is this really what I want to say is an A rotation? I think A- is definitely leaning towards better performances, but based on what some of these guys did last year, I think an A- is fair for this team because Luis Castillo, because the Reds don't get as much press as a team like the Mets or the Yankees or the Astros, for their pitching. And so, but honestly, Castillo, Gray, and Bauer are all nasty. And so I think rotation definitely an A-. So that's my opinion.
Well, what I'm
And
hearing is a good time to be a Cincinnati sports fan.
yeah, I think it is. Honestly, I think the Reds are a very good team. I think they're very much a threat for the NL Central and definitely in the race for wild card if they don't win the Central. So.
And if you didn't see my video yesterday about the way that the Bengals have been able to position themselves, they actually may not be the bane of the league for the next few
Laughing
years.
stock.
So I'd say, all things considered, it's not a bad time to be a Cincinnati sports fan. But I think that you seem to have hit all the notes. So if you wanna, I'll let you do the outro.
Yeah. So like, comment, subscribe. If you're a Reds fan, go and roast Jeremy for trash talking one of your best pitchers.
I'm
You thought
allowed
I'm
to
an
not
idiot?
like Sonny Gray, by the way. I'm admitting full bias here. I'm not saying that that is an expert or even a well-informed opinion on any level. It's definitely
No, you
not a
look at
well-informed
you look
opinion.
at a 2.87 ERA and say, nah.
Yeah, no, it's not a well-informed decision or opinion on any level, and I do not represent any group of baseball fans when I say that. I just don't like Sonny Gray. I just watched him lose too many games for the Yankees, and I will forever hold that over his head. Not
All
forever,
right.
but for a while.
All right. Well. But yeah, overall, good day to be a Red sports fan. It's gonna be a fun team to watch next season. Yeah, I don't know what else to really say about them. So yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. If you think I'm an idiot, let me know. If you're another NL Central fan and you think the Reds are shit and that their organization's never gonna get off the ground, let me know that too. If you're a Reds fan that thinks your bullpen's a lineup full of studs, I'll roast you, but sure. Um, so yeah, that's really it. Go check out Twitter, Instagram, Discord.
Yes, please
Um,
pull up the Discord. We're looking to hear from you guys on what we can do to make these videos better, whether it's content wise or maybe if there's Matt was looking at maybe I don't know if Matt is ready to talk about
yeah,
this.
so I guess I can mention it. I'm looking at recording MLB The Show footage just to have something. Um, playing MLB The Show, just having some baseball in the background, maybe a little more interesting. So I'll have to wait and see, but
So let us know if you want to see that down in the comments below. But I think we've kind of covered all our bases. So make sure to come back tomorrow to see my draft recap for the. Oh, I even pulled this up too, so I wouldn't forget. Oh, the Browns, I think, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it's the Cleveland Browns
I think it
tomorrow,
is.
and then you go to the Indians on Monday.
Yup.
So make sure to check back for that. If you're a Cincinnati sports fan and you haven't checked out my video that came out yesterday on the Bengals, make sure to check that out. But with that being said, I think that'll wrap it up for us. So we'll see you next time. Peace.